You've probably been told your whole life that eggs are nature's perfect food. A complete protein, packed with vitamins, simple to cook, comforting to eat. And by the time you reach your 60s, eggs may have become a staple again. Soft-boiled with toast in the morning, scrambled for an easy dinner, or slipped into a sandwich when you're too tired to cook. But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent habit, this one food you trust so deeply, might not be serving your heart and brain the way you think it is, especially now, because something changes after 65, something subtle yet profound, and the way your body processes the cholesterol, fats, and nutrients in eggs shifts, sometimes in your favor, but sometimes against you. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. You see, the egg isn't just one thing. It's many things at once, a complex, nutrient-dense food that can either nourish you deeply or quietly accelerate damage. For decades, science flip-flopped on eggs. First they were healthy, then dangerous, now possibly healthy again. And in the middle of all that confusion, seniors are left guessing. Left navigating breakfast with crossed fingers and good intentions. But the truth isn't black and white. The egg is not the enemy. The enemy is blind repetition. The enemy is not knowing when your body's needs have changed. Because after 65, what used to be harmless can suddenly carry consequences. And what used to benefit you might now come with a warning label written in the fine print of your blood pressure, your arteries, your cognitive clarity. Imagine this: you crack open 2 eggs every morning, feel satisfied, maybe even a little virtuous for skipping the sugary cereal or greasy bacon. But weeks go by and you start waking up foggy. Your joints ache a little more. The scale ticks upward despite no change in portions. You feel slower somehow. Not old, but off. That's when the real question hits you. Is it possible that what used to fuel you is now slowing you down? That's where this journey begins. Not with blame, but with curiosity. Because the answer isn't to stop eating eggs. It's to start eating them differently, with eyes open, with knowledge tailored to your age, and with a clear understanding of what your heart and brain actually need now. So let's step inside the shell. After 65, your body begins to change in ways that aren't always visible, but they are constant. Your arteries aren't quite as flexible. Your metabolism slows. Your liver works differently, and your brain's demand for certain nutrients increases while your ability to absorb them decreases. It's not a decline, it's a transition. But this transition means your relationship with food must evolve too. What once nourished you may now need adjusting. And this is especially true with eggs, a food packed with cholesterol, saturated fat, choline, and a wide array of vitamins that interact differently with an aging system. Cholesterol, for example, used to be something your body handled with ease. But now your blood vessels may be more vulnerable to buildup. Your heart may already be compensating for decades of wear and tear. So when you add 2 eggs worth of dietary cholesterol daily, roughly 370 milligrams, you're not just eating breakfast. You're giving your body a decision to make, absorb, process, or store. And that decision becomes more delicate with age. Some seniors process dietary cholesterol well. Others absorb it more directly into the bloodstream, raising LDL levels, the bad cholesterol tied to heart disease. The trouble is, you might not know which group you fall into unless you're testing regularly, and most aren't. Meanwhile, your brain is fighting its own silent battle. It needs choline, a nutrient richly found in eggs, to produce acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter critical for memory and cognitive clarity. But here's the twist. Too much choline, particularly in the presence of certain gut bacteria, can convert into TMAO, a compound increasingly linked to hardened arteries and increased stroke risk. That means your brain craves what eggs offer, but your heart might suffer the consequences if the balance tips too far. It's a quiet biochemical tug-of-war happening in millions of seniors every day at the breakfast table. This is why blindly following old habits can become dangerous. Not because eggs are inherently bad, but because your body is no longer the same. It's wiser, yes, but it's also more sensitive. What you feed it now must reflect what it has been through, what it's carrying, and what it still hopes to do. And every bite matters more than ever. There's a reason eggs have sparked decades of controversy. Each one contains about 186 milligrams of cholesterol, all nestled inside the yolk. That's more than half the recommended daily limit for older adults, just from one egg. Now think of how easy it is to eat two without blinking: scrambled, fried, boiled. It's a habit that feels harmless, even comforting. But for many seniors, especially those with a history of heart disease, hypertension, or high cholesterol, this routine can quietly raise risk. Not because cholesterol is evil, but because balance has become harder to maintain after 65. You see, cholesterol isn't just something you eat, it's something your body makes. Your liver produces all the cholesterol you need for hormones, cell repair, and brain function. When you eat high cholesterol foods like eggs, your liver usually compensates by producing less, but as you age, that feedback loop may falter. The result? Dietary cholesterol stacks on top of what your body is already producing. Over time, this can raise LDL levels and promote plaque buildup in arteries already stressed from years of circulation. And that's where the danger creeps in, not overnight, but gradually, silently. Yet, to complicate things further, cholesterol itself isn't inherently bad. Your brain depends on it. Your body needs it for hormone production. The issue lies in the type and amount, and how well your body clears the excess. This is where genetic factors, gut health, and lifestyle come into play. Some seniors can eat eggs regularly and maintain healthy blood lipids. Others see their LDL spike without warning. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. And it's about checking in, not just checking off another breakfast. So before you pick up that fork tomorrow morning, ask yourself a simple question. When was the last time you truly checked your numbers? Not just weight or blood sugar, but LDL, HDL, triglycerides, and inflammation markers? If it's been a while, your body could be whispering warnings you haven't heard yet. Because at this stage of life, cholesterol isn't just a number, it's a conversation your heart is trying to have with you. And the egg on your plate is part of that dialogue. Crack open an egg and you'll find its most powerful, most controversial element glowing right in the center, the yolk. It's where nearly all the egg's vitamins and nutrients are stored. Vitamin D for bone health, choline for your brain, B12 for nerve function, and essential antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin for your eyes. This is why many nutritionists call the yolk a nutritional goldmine. But here's where things get complicated. The yolk is also where all the cholesterol and much of the saturated fat lives. And in a senior's body, that concentrated richness can either act like medicine or like a slow-acting toxin. The yolk's benefits are real, especially for the aging brain. Choline, in particular, becomes more important with age, helping to preserve memory and slow cognitive decline. But too much of it, especially if consumed in high doses daily, can increase levels of TMAO, a byproduct that has been associated with greater cardiovascular risk. So while your mind might be craving more mental sharpness, your arteries may quietly be tightening under the strain. It's not about cutting the yolk out completely. It's about knowing your own thresholds, your own risks, and your own limits. Because the very thing that fuels you might also be what burdens you. Let's not forget, eggs are rarely eaten in isolation. They're often paired with toast, butter, sausage, or bacon. Foods that increase your intake of sodium, saturated fats, and simple carbs. All of which contribute to inflammation and arterial stress. So even if the egg itself is borderline beneficial, the meal context can tip the scale toward harm, especially if you're eating it the same way, every day, out of habit, more than need. The combination matters more now than it did at 40. At 65 and beyond, every nutrient has a louder voice in your body. So what can you do? You don't need to abandon the yolk, but consider spacing it out. If you love eggs, alternate full eggs with egg whites. Add fiber-rich vegetables like spinach or mushrooms to offset the fat load. Use herbs instead of salt. And most importantly, don't just think about flavor, think about function. At this age, food must pull double duty. It should taste good and protect you. The yolk can still be your ally, but only if you learn how to keep it on your side. You might not connect your breakfast routine with your blood pressure, but your body does. Every time you eat, you're not just feeding hunger. You're sending instructions to your heart, your vessels, your hormones. And eggs, while rich in nutrients, also influence this inner communication in ways that become more pronounced with age. For seniors already managing hypertension or at risk for it, this matters more than most realize, because the impact of food on blood pressure isn't always immediate, but it's cumulative. And when it comes to eggs, the effects are subtle, but they build. Eggs contain saturated fat and dietary cholesterol, both of which can contribute to arterial stiffness when consumed in excess, especially if paired with salty sides like bacon or cheese. But the real issue for blood pressure comes down to what isn't in the egg: fiber. Without fiber to balance digestion and support vascular health, high-fat meals can push the body toward insulin resistance and inflammation, two underlying forces that quietly elevate blood pressure over time. For seniors whose arteries may already be less elastic, this subtle pressure becomes a chronic burden, showing up as morning headaches, dizziness, or a persistent sense of heaviness in the chest. This doesn't mean eggs directly cause high blood pressure. In fact, some studies show they can be neutral or even mildly beneficial when eaten with care. But in real-world senior diets, eggs are often consumed without that balance, without the potassium, magnesium, or fiber needed to counteract their heavier effects. That's where the hidden danger lives, not in the egg alone, but in the absence of what should come with it. And that's something you can fix. So here's a small shift that could change everything. Pair your eggs with sautéed greens or avocado. Sprinkle turmeric instead of salt. Skip the processed meat and try a handful of berries or a slice of whole grain toast. Each of these changes doesn't just complement the egg, they disarm its risks. At this stage in life, it's not about restriction, it's about reinforcement. You don't need to cut out the egg. You need to surround it with what your heart is quietly asking for. Your brain is always hungry, not for food, but for nutrients, for clarity, for the right chemical balance that lets you think clearly, remember names, hold on to stories, and eggs have long been praised for supporting this vital system. They're rich in choline, a key nutrient that helps your brain produce acetylcholine, one of the neurotransmitters most responsible for memory, attention, and focus. For older adults, this is a gift. A single egg delivers about 147 milligrams of choline, which can be hard to find in other foods. But as with many things after 65, even a gift must be unwrapped carefully, because the way your aging gut processes choline might hold a darker side. As you grow older, the bacterial environment in your intestines shifts. Some gut microbes begin to transform excess choline into a compound called TMAO, trimethylamine N-oxide, and studies have linked high levels of TMAO with increased risk of stroke, heart disease, and cognitive decline. In younger bodies, this transformation is slower or less significant, but in older adults, with changing digestion and a more fragile vascular system, TMAO can quietly fuel the very decline you're trying to prevent. So while the brain craves the choline in eggs, your arteries and memory centers may suffer if that choline is constantly being rerouted through the wrong microbial pathways. There's also the matter of inflammation. Some seniors notice that regular egg consumption, especially when combined with other rich or fatty foods, leaves them feeling foggy, inflamed, or mentally dulled within hours. This isn't imagined. It's a subtle inflammatory response that becomes more common as we age and lose tolerance for certain fats and proteins. The fog you feel after breakfast isn't always from bad sleep. It might be from how your brain is reacting to what you fed it first thing that morning. But you are not helpless in this. If you love eggs, you can still harness their brain benefits while lowering risk. Try limiting yolks to a few times a week. Use eggs alongside fiber-rich, plant-based meals that improve gut health. Fermented foods, leafy greens, and prebiotic-rich ingredients can help shift your gut toward a friendlier choline processing environment. Your brain doesn't just need more, it needs better. And the egg, when used wisely, can still be part of the nourishment your mind deserves. At 40, you could eat just about anything and bounce back by morning. Eggs, sausage, toast, no problem. Your liver filtered efficiently, your metabolism ran hot, and your arteries were still relatively pliable. But by the time you cross 65, the internal machinery changes. Your liver might slow its ability to clear excess fats. Your stomach may produce less acid, affecting how proteins are broken down, and your pancreas, responsible for insulin, can become less responsive, especially if you've faced years of blood sugar fluctuations. All of these shifts quietly influence how your body processes something as simple and familiar as an egg. Take the fats inside the yolk. Saturated fat now lingers longer in your bloodstream. Instead of being swiftly broken down and repurposed, it may hang around, especially if your gallbladder function has slowed. That extra circulation time gives it more opportunity to interact with arterial walls, feeding plaque development and raising cardiovascular risk. Similarly, if your digestive enzymes are lower than they used to be, the rich protein in eggs, while technically high quality, may not be as efficiently converted into usable amino acids. That means your muscles, already losing strength with age, may not get the full benefit even if you're eating the right food. Then there's the insulin response. While eggs are low in carbohydrates, they can still influence blood sugar indirectly. When combined with refined carbs, like white toast or jam, they contribute to a blood sugar spike followed by a crash. And for seniors with prediabetes or insulin resistance, this roller coaster can quietly worsen fatigue, brain fog, and inflammation. That post-breakfast slump many people brush off? It may be your body signaling that the old pairing isn't working anymore. But this doesn't mean you should give up eggs altogether. It means you need to renegotiate your relationship with them. Consider pairing eggs with low glycemic, fiber-rich foods to slow absorption. Add vegetables like tomatoes or bell peppers. Swap white toast for sprouted grain, or skip bread entirely in favor of avocado. These shifts help your aging digestive system do more with less. Because after 65, it's not just what you eat, but how your body is capable of handling it that determines whether food heals or harms. For many health-conscious seniors, switching to egg whites seems like a smart, safe move. It's cholesterol-free, fat-free, and still provides that clean, high-quality protein your muscles need. And on paper, it checks all the boxes. But when you rely solely on egg whites day after day, something else can quietly begin to shift, something that might surprise you. Because while you're avoiding the risks tied to the yolk, you might also be depriving yourself of critical nutrients your aging brain, eyes, and nerves depend on. Egg whites are not a perfect replacement. They are a trade-off. The whites contain the majority of an egg's protein, yes, but they lack nearly all of its vitamins. No choline, no vitamin D, no B12, no lutein. These are not minor details. They're cornerstones of your neurological function, your balance, your memory, even your mood stability. And for seniors especially, these micronutrients are often already low due to age-related absorption decline. That means a strict egg white routine while lowering cholesterol intake could also lead to a slow nutrient drift, away from the essentials your body now craves more than ever. There's also a subtler issue: satiety. Yolks contain healthy fats that help you feel full and satisfied. When you remove them, your breakfast may leave you feeling hungrier an hour later. And when that hunger hits, you're more likely to reach for snacks that are higher in sugar or processed carbs, undoing the very benefit you were trying to gain by eating clean. This kind of yo-yo hunger and compensation can wreak havoc on your blood sugar, your weight, and your energy levels throughout the day. So where's the middle ground? For most seniors, the solution isn't to abandon yolks or cling to whites, it's to rotate. Try one full egg with a few additional whites. Alternate days with and without yolk. Supplement your breakfast with nutrient-dense sides like avocado, sautéed spinach, or even a spoonful of flaxseed. Remember, egg whites are a tool, not a cure-all. They can support you, but only if you balance their simplicity with the complexity your body still needs. After 65, your nutrition should feel like harmony, not subtraction. You don't have to give up eggs, but you do have to change how you approach them. After 65, your body isn't asking for extremes. It's asking for precision, for gentleness, for meals that support rather than strain. And eggs, when eaten with intention, can still play a powerful role in that. The key is to shift from default habits to strategic choices. That means rethinking not just what you eat, but when, how often, and with what companions. Because the safest way to eat eggs after 65 isn't about avoiding them. It's about orchestrating the entire plate around your body's new rhythm. Start by limiting yolks to 3 or 4 per week, not per day. That alone can significantly lower your cholesterol intake while still giving you access to vital nutrients like choline and B12. If you love eggs daily, build meals that combine one whole egg with added egg whites for protein balance. Next, time your egg meals earlier in the day. Studies show that seniors digest fats more effectively in the morning than at night, when metabolism slows and blood pressure tends to rise. A light, protein-rich breakfast featuring eggs, paired with fiber and healthy fats, can stabilize energy and reduce post-meal inflammation. But perhaps most important of all is what you serve with your eggs. Skip the salty meats and processed cheeses. Instead, invite anti-inflammatory allies onto your plate. Leafy greens, tomatoes, berries, avocado. Use spices like turmeric and black pepper to support circulation. Opt for olive oil instead of butter when cooking. These choices don't just protect your heart, they elevate the egg's benefits, transforming it from a risky indulgence into a supportive ally. And don't underestimate the power of listening. Your body speaks in patterns: fatigue after meals, digestive upset, new aches, restless sleep. These are clues, not punishments. Adjust accordingly. Eggs are not a one-size-fits-all food after 65. They are a tool, a source of strength if used wisely. You've made it this far with care and perseverance. Let your meals reflect that wisdom. Let them serve the version of you that exists now, not the one who could eat anything and forget about it. Your body remembers everything. Now it's time to feed it accordingly. You know the feeling. Some mornings you wake up with clarity. Your thoughts are crisp, your steps feel steady, your energy carries you through breakfast and beyond. And then there are mornings that feel heavier. A haze wraps around your thinking. The coffee doesn't quite cut it. You sit with your breakfast, maybe the usual scrambled eggs, and you wonder why your mind still feels like it's stuck in neutral. This difference, this stark divide between clarity and fog, might be telling you something your body hasn't yet put into words. And eggs could be part of the reason. Eggs, especially when eaten alone or with processed foods, can affect your cognitive rhythm in quiet ways. The choline inside them is essential for memory, yes, but the fats and cholesterol, when not paired with the right supporting nutrients, can slow circulation and contribute to low-grade inflammation. This can reduce blood flow to the brain, especially if arterial stiffness is already present. For a senior navigating subtle cognitive shifts, this matters, because every choice you make either clears the path for clarity or adds friction. And food, as you now know, isn't just fuel, it's instruction. The pattern many overlook is consistency. If your mornings feel foggy 3 or 4 times a week after the same type of breakfast, it's time to pay attention. It may not be the eggs alone. It could be how they're paired when they're eaten, or how your body now reacts to saturated fat at rest. Many seniors report sharper focus when eggs are combined with greens, a small portion of oats, or a source of omega-3 fats like flax or chia. Others feel better when eggs are spaced out through the week rather than eaten every day. What works for your neighbor, spouse, or even your younger self might not apply now. So test gently, observe. Swap out toast for a fiber-rich wrap. Add a side of berries. Try eggs on alternate days. Give your brain a variety of nutrient messengers, not the same old input. Because the brain after 65 isn't slowing down, it's asking for more support, more strategy. And clarity, more than ever, becomes a nutritional achievement, not luck, not habit, intention. There's a reason heart disease is called the silent killer. You don't feel your arteries hardening, you don't hear the plaque building up, you don't notice the inflammation subtly thickening your vessel walls, but all of it can be happening, quietly, steadily, while you go about your day, while you eat the same breakfast you've trusted for years. And this is where the conversation about eggs turns serious, because after 65, the stakes are higher. Your arteries have already carried you through millions of heartbeats. They're not new roads anymore, they're weathered. and eggs, depending on how they're consumed, can either repair the path or add to the wear. The cholesterol in eggs has a direct relationship with arterial plaque in some individuals, especially those who are genetically predisposed to hyperabsorption. You might not know you fall into this group until it's too late. But even beyond cholesterol, there's the issue of inflammation. If you regularly eat eggs with processed meat, refined bread, or sugary spreads, you create a pro-inflammatory meal that taxes your endothelial lining, the thin, fragile inner wall of your arteries. That lining, once damaged, invites plaque, like an open wound invites infection. But don't panic, because this knowledge isn't meant to scare you, it's meant to empower you. If you still enjoy eggs, you can protect your arteries, but it requires context. A boiled egg with sautéed kale and olive oil is not the same as a fried egg with sausage on a white roll. One nourishes, the other strains. And for your arteries, at this age, the difference matters more than you think. The foods that once felt like comfort can now become contributors to unseen damage. So give your arteries what they've earned after decades of loyal service. Relief. Let eggs be part of a healing plate, not a harmful one. Add color, add fiber, add intention. Your arteries don't complain, but they carry every choice you make. And when they're supported, you'll know it, in your energy, in your breath, in the quiet peace that comes from knowing your heart is not just beating, it's being honored. Balance doesn't mean restriction, it means strategy. If you're over 65 and still enjoy eggs, you don't need to cut them out. You need to build around them. The key lies not in removing eggs, but in pairing them with the kinds of foods that amplify their benefits and soften their risks. Because when you combine an egg with the right partners, foods rich in fiber, antioxidants, and healthy fats, you create a nutritional harmony that supports your heart, nourishes your brain, and keeps your blood sugar stable. And at this stage of life, that kind of harmony isn't just helpful, it's essential. Start with fiber. Leafy greens like spinach or kale sautéed in olive oil do more than just add color to your plate. They actively help sweep cholesterol from your system. Avocados bring potassium and heart-friendly fats that buffer the saturated fat in yolks. Even beans, black, navy, or pinto, offer slow-burning carbohydrates and plant protein that help regulate the insulin response that sometimes follows a higher-fat meal. When you fill half your plate with these companions, the egg no longer stands alone. It becomes part of a broader, wiser whole. Don't forget about the brain. Eggs already give you choline and B12, but their impact is multiplied when eaten alongside omega-3 rich foods like flaxseed, walnuts, or even a spoonful of chia pudding. These support memory and fight inflammation at the same time. You could also add turmeric to your eggs or sprinkle them with black pepper and garlic powder to support circulation and gut health. Each small addition may seem simple, but together they create a meal that speaks directly to your body's evolving needs. This is the mindset shift. You're not giving things up, you're building smarter. The eggs stay, but they no longer act alone. They become part of a nutrient team that supports your strength, your clarity, and your cardiovascular health. And as the years move forward, that team becomes more important than ever. Because aging isn't about eating less, it's about eating better. And that kind of better begins with every single bite you choose to place beside the egg on your plate. Sometimes your body speaks in whispers before it screams. A little more bloating than usual after breakfast. A heavy feeling in your chest that lingers through the morning. Subtle fatigue you can't quite shake, even after a full night's rest. You may not immediately think to blame the egg on your plate. After all, it's been a staple for years. But after 65, the signs of poor egg tolerance can be surprisingly quiet, and just as surprisingly common. Your body's ability to process fat, clear cholesterol, and regulate inflammation can change with age, and eggs, though small, can tip the balance. One sign is digestive discomfort. If you feel bloated, gassy, or sluggish after eating eggs, especially fried or paired with rich sides, your gallbladder might be struggling to keep up. As we age, bile production can slow, making it harder to break down fats efficiently. The result? You absorb fewer nutrients and carry more post-meal fatigue. Another red flag is a consistent feeling of fogginess after breakfast, like your mind takes longer to boot up. This can signal that your blood vessels are reacting poorly to cholesterol or that your brain isn't getting the clean, steady fuel it now prefers. There are also more subtle indicators: a new stiffness in your joints, dry skin, a sense that your energy dips instead of rises after breakfast, even minor fluctuations in blood pressure after meals, lightheadedness, flushed cheeks, or tightness in the temples can point to your body's growing sensitivity to saturated fat and dietary cholesterol. These symptoms aren't random, they're signals, clues that your longtime food allies might need to be adjusted, not abandoned but managed with greater awareness. The good news? These changes are reversible. If you suspect eggs are weighing you down, try a week without them. Replace them with high-protein, low-cholesterol options like lentils, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie with flax. Then, reintroduce eggs slowly, paired with greens, olive oil, or a fiber-packed side, and track how you feel. Your body keeps score even when you don't, but it also forgives, adjusts, and renews. You simply have to listen. At this age, health isn't just a reaction, it's a conversation. And your breakfast is often the opening line. For many seniors, breakfast isn't just about nutrition, it's about routine, memory, and comfort. The scent of eggs sizzling, the warmth of toast, the familiarity of a morning rhythm, it all feels like home. So when you hear that eggs might not be serving your heart or brain the way they used to, there's a natural hesitation, a quiet resistance. But here's the truth. Protecting your health after 65 doesn't mean saying goodbye to comfort. It means rewriting it, carefully, respectfully, and with the same warmth that breakfast has always given you. Imagine a breakfast that still satisfies you, but lifts you instead of weighing you down. A plate with one soft-boiled egg nestled beside a bed of wilted spinach and avocado, sprinkled with black sesame and turmeric. A slice of sprouted grain toast, not slathered in butter, but drizzled with olive oil and lemon. A cup of green tea or warm water with lemon on the side, supporting your digestion instead of interrupting it. Every piece of it familiar, yet elevated. Comfort isn't erased here. It's honored and refined. You can still have scrambled eggs, just make them lighter, fluffier, paired with mushrooms or tomatoes instead of bacon. You can still enjoy a breakfast sandwich, just swap white bread for a whole grain English muffin and use avocado or hummus as your spread. Add a side of berries for antioxidant balance or a spoonful of ground flaxseed into your yogurt. These small changes don't strip the soul from your morning. They restore it to serve your body's new needs. The best part, once you make the shift, your body will tell you. You'll wake with more energy, think more clearly by mid-morning, move with less stiffness. You'll notice a breakfast that builds you instead of draining you. And that's a powerful revelation. You don't have to mourn the foods you've loved. You just have to reshape them. Because after 65, the most healing meals are the ones that blend nourishment with nostalgia. And when you do it right, every breakfast becomes both a memory and a medicine. By now, you've seen the egg from every angle. The good, the complicated, the quietly risky, and the remarkably beneficial. And maybe for the first time in a long while, you're looking at your breakfast not just as a habit, but as a decision. One that affects your heart's rhythm, your brain's clarity, your blood vessel's strength, and your energy for the day ahead. That's the gift of awareness. And it's the most powerful tool you own at this stage in life. Because when you understand how your body is changing, you no longer eat out of routine. You eat out of respect for the body that's carried you this far. So what now? Maybe you don't ditch eggs entirely. Maybe you simply shift. One egg, not two, paired with sautéed greens instead of sausage, cooked in olive oil instead of butter, enjoyed 3 times a week instead of every day. These are small adjustments, but they carry massive returns. They ease the load on your arteries, support your brain chemistry, and give your body a fighting chance to stay clear, strong, and balanced. And perhaps most importantly, they remind you that you're not stuck. You're evolving. Your mornings are sacred. They set the tone. And if you've been waking up foggy, tired, inflamed, or sluggish, maybe this is your quiet invitation to begin again. Not with fear, not with deprivation, but with understanding. You can still have the warmth, the nourishment, the routine, but now it's curated. Now it's informed. Because at 65 and beyond, eating isn't just survival, it's strategy. And every plate becomes a promise to yourself. I am still learning. I am still listening. I am still building a body that serves the life I love. So tomorrow morning, when you reach for that egg, you'll do it with clarity. You'll know what it gives you. You'll know what it asks of you. And you'll know how to answer. That's the power of knowledge, transformed into wisdom. That's the new kind of comfort, one that doesn't just feel good, but does good. Starting with the first bite.